Now I want to show how I make some of those fibers for, say, a roller. So I'm going to just switch to my cylinder tool, draw one of those out, and I'm in polyframe mode here, and then go to edit, and then before I make it a Polymesh 3D, I'm going to come down to initialize, change its X and Y size to 25, and then its H divide to 64 and the V divide to 128, which I think is the maximum. So that gives me fairly square looking polys out there. Actually, gives me, those are slightly, let's see what we get here, 64. Yeah, interesting. Sometimes that gives me square at one and square at the other. That's kind of odd. But try, just looking for roughly square polys here. So if some of this is not the same, then you may want to change that around. So actually, if that is the case, let me see if I can turn this up some. Yeah, I actually kind of like that. That may give me better results when I add the fibers to it. And then I'm going to take its inner radius out to, I guess the inner radius affects that. So be aware of that. You may want to put a little inner radius on it first. I'm just going to take this out to around 95, somewhere in there. And yeah, so now that, let's take that back to 64. Okay, so roughly square. Just essentially making a tube, and once you get it to that level, then you can make Polymesh 3D. And again, I've got polyframe turned on, so we'll get around to the side here, and I'm going to use my mask tool to mask everything off except these end pieces. And I've noticed that for some reason I get a fairly distinct masking on one side, but if we look down here at the other, it seems that way, but when I put the fibermesh on, it seems to be a little more random down here. So I'll give it a go, and we'll see what we get. The other thing we need to do is come around here to the end, and let's go to the mask tool here, and I'm going to get mask circle, and then under its stroke, I'm going to turn it to square and center, and then we'll come back here. Let's get it nice and big so it's easy to see. And sometimes you can turn the floor on, and that can help you get somewhat centered up along here. So I'm going to hold down Control, drag that out, press Alt to reverse it, and just get kind of halfway there or over the green part of the mesh, and that removes the masking from the inner, because we don't need to have the fibers on that. So once I've done that, I can turn the floor back off. So this thing is ready to fiber mesh. I'm going to turn perspective on, because it's a little easier to see what it's going to look like in perspective, and then just come over to fiber mesh and turn on the preview, and you get the default giant furry thing. That's really cool. So then I'm going to open my modifiers, and then I'm going to take the length down to 25, and let's see, coverage I'm going to leave the same. Max fibers I may turn up in a bit, and then I'm going to look at the scale of the root versus the scale of the tip. So in this case, I'm going to make the root say 2 and the tip maybe 3 or 4. Let's try 3 to start and see what we get. See how that looks. And then I'm going to Shift F to turn the polyframe off. And under my colors down here on the base, I'm going to make just kind of a light gray, and the tip I want to make white. And gravity, I want to change that to 0. See how that looks. That's looking good. might adjust those tips based on what we get. And I'm just going to test it with the BPR. So let's turn it open. I forgot to turn shadows off, so it might take a little bit longer. Yeah, it's looking fairly blobby on there. So let's turn the under render properties, and we'll turn shadows off. That'll improve the render times. And here, yeah, I think you can see if I go to P, yeah, so I get, you know, on one end I get, I think I've spun around this thing from where I was last time. So, you know, here it's fairly crisp edges on there. Here they seem to want to radiate outwards. I don't know whether it missed some masking or what. It's a weird thing. I can try out here, and we'll try Control Alt. Let's undo that. Let's switch back to the mask pen, Control Alt. Let's see if that helps. And then turn preview back on. Nope, doesn't seem to do it. Let me try taking it over that and see what we get. Yeah, that's actually better, and it kind of rolls around more like what you might think a you know, the roller would do. So I'm gonna do that over here on this end too, and see what we get. Not quite as good. What I might end up doing is mirror and welding those anyway, but for right now we'll just work with this. Let's go back to perspective here, and then let's come back to our to these. Take one more render so I can think about what I want to change. I think I actually want to reverse this so that the base is a little bit wider than the root. So let's take that to 4 and see what we get, or the root wider than the tip. Yeah. Let's BPR that. Okay, that's a little bit better. Not seeing through it so much. Maybe take the scale of the tip to 2. Yeah, that's starting to look more like the kind of fuzzy rollers. I'm going to take that down, say 1.5 maybe. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Maybe take the max fibers up a little bit. 60. Again, it's trial and error. Just keep playing with it till you start to get something that is looking fairly reasonable. All right, that's looking pretty good. I may want to make the base a bit lighter. Okay, yeah, looking good there. Let's see, and then my segments here. Let's take that to 2. That'll help when we accept it. Yeah, and that doesn't really change much. Let's actually take it to 1 and see if that... Oop, yeah, too little. Needs to have something that it can twist in there. And you can increase the twist if you want. You know, here it is. Let's see if we can get zoomed in so you can kind of see what's going to happen when I do that. You know, if we take the twist down to 0, see these things all kind of come out somewhat straight. Take it up past 18 there. You see they really spin around, so let's give that a go and see how that looks. Might actually look better, you never know. Yeah, really not much of a difference in it. So I'm just going to take that back to the default 18 and just check it again just to make sure it's kind of doing what I thought. Yep, so that looks okay. So once you get these looking basically the way you want, then you can come up to the accept button here and hit that, and that's going to ask you about the fast preview. Let's turn that on, so it makes it a little faster when this thing moves around. And now you'll see that if I look at subtools, that I have my cylinder here that I have selected, and then my fibers. So while I'm on this cylinder, we'll go ahead and clear the mask from that, and we'll switch to the fibers and hide the cylinder so I can BPR that. You can see that, yep, it's a hollow tube. Let's see if we can look down the length of it some. So at a distance, this thing looks great. At a close-up, it looks pretty good. So now you could go in and you could color on this, and you see it's not too bad in terms of, it's about 360,000 polys, so not too big a hit in terms of performance. If it is causing issues, if you are running into something like this, then you can try to come in and use a little bit of grooming with a radial brush. So let me try a little of that, and let's see if we can get some good results. But I think I'm going to do that in the next video.